All right, welcome back to Overtime. It's the bonus segment here with Arda Ocal, and we are here. We're going to kind of do a little play on the name game here. We're going to mention a superstar or, an event, whatever it may be, and just kind of give us your little antidote on each one there. Todd Pettengill, former WWF announcer.
Oh, I loved him in the 90s. I loved watching him. I thought that he had such a different style than other WWE announcers. He is the face of In Your House, right? I think we can confidently say that, right? Todd Pettengill is the face of In Your House. And I also, by the way, I thought it was really cool that he came back to WWE to host a In Your House DVD release. I thought that was really cool that he did that. And yeah, I'd love Todd Pettengill to me. I loved his in the aisle interviews that he would do during pay-per-views. He had a really cool style, and yeah, nothing but love for Todd Pettengill. Actually, he was one of the reasons that I had a career bucket list item to host a DVD release. I was sort of in that area where DVDs were being phased out and it was all digital shows and stuff. But I did get one DVD. It was a Canada only release called Our Nation's Pride, and it basically featured a bunch of Canadian superstars. It was only released in Canada, but I got to host that. So technically, I did get to host an official WWE DVD release at the very tail end of the DVD era. So I thought that was awesome. But yeah, people like Todd Pettengill put that ambition in me. So yeah, nothing but love for Todd.
Well, now you've given me a DVD to add to the collection, as you can see behind me here.
There we go. I got to get you one.
So, yeah. The next one, Sean Mooney.
Sean Mooney, yes. He was gracious enough to join me for a Hardcore Sports Radio episode of Right After Wrestling. I think he was working in Arizona at the time. And he was one of the first guys, when I was researching WWE announcers and how they came about, and him and Craig DeGeorge, who's Craig Minervini, and I met Craig in Florida when he was doing Florida Panthers games and Marlins games, and Sean is cut from the same cloth in a way, doing sports broadcasting, coming to WWE, returning to traditional regional broadcasting, traditional broadcasting. So Sean was, along with people like Todd Pettengill and people of that era, were very much, Mean Gene, were very much in the soundtrack of my pro wrestling life, right? They held a job that I thought was sometimes even cooler than the matches themselves. I could sit and watch promos for hours, and Sean Mooney was a big part of that. And I think it was Mr. Perfect. He's like, "Shut up, Mooney!" I would always laugh at that. When especially when the wrestlers would just get really mad at the announcers, but Kurt Hennig in particular, "Shut up, Mooney!" And you just look at him, and Sean Mooney would be like, "What did I do?"
And the next one is former WWF announcer Stan Lane, from an announcing capacity.
Stan Lane, when was he in WWE? I mean, obviously he had a storied wrestling career, right? Outside of WWE, but in WWE. Was it the early 90s? Yeah,
it was 94, 95. He would host Challenge with Gorilla Monsoon, and he did Superstars sometimes.
Did he do segments with Doc Hendricks? I feel like he might have done a segment or two like those. Well, I'm handsome Doc Hendricks, and
he may have.
Welcome to the. Maybe he did a couple of those segments too. But I remember him more as a wrestler than I do an announcer in the 90s, but I will say I did spend a lot of time researching or looking up the cup of, I'm a cup of coffee WWE announcer, right? Because I was there for 2 years or less. But the Stan Lanes, the Charlie Minns, the Stephanie Wyans, the Mike Adamleys, we are this group of WWE announcers that were there for 2 or less years or something like that. The Cup of Coffee crew.
Yeah.
Right. So I guess me and Stan Lane now are in the same group.
No,
The cup of coffee crew.
Right. Next one, you just brought him up. Handsome Doc Hendricks.
Yeah, that he was awesome. I always laughed at his. There were times where he'd be like dressed up as wrestlers, like he'd have gloves like the Undertaker, and like he'd be selling like in that room. I always wanted to go in that room. He had a WrestleMania arcade game,
the Slam Jam,
just this thing. Well, I love that. It was awesome. I have my Michael Hayes story though is I didn't get backstage very much, but I was at Raw, let's say once a month, okay? And I had friends on the WWE writing team that I would see often at Titan Tower or at the head offices. And I saw one of them backstage when I was there at Raw. And I went up and said hi to them. And Michael Hayes was standing right beside them. So I got introduced. And I was made aware that Michael Hayes loves to do this thing called napes, where he, instead of shaking hands or a fist bump, he does like something in the middle, like this. So he'll do this. If you saw it on WWE Unreal, this is napes. So it's like that. It looks like that.
Okay.
So I don't know why I did this. This is the very first time I'm meeting Michael Hayes. I get introduced to Michael Hayes. Hey, this is Kyle Edwards. He's one of our new announcers. And I said, Michael Hayes, it's very nice to meet you. And I put out the napes. And it hangs there.
Oh, no.
For a good 15, 20 seconds. And Michael Hayes is looking at my napes knuckles like this, okay? And he's looking at it. And he looks at me. And he looks at them again. And then he looks at me again. And then he turns to the writer and goes, this guy has been in this company for what, 5 minutes? And he thinks he could just walk right up to me and ask for napes?
Wow. Oh my God.
And I'm like, so like I'm slinking the napes back now like this. And I'm like, I'm sorry, sir. And he looks at me, he's like, do you realize what you have to accomplish and the respect you have to earn in order to get napes? Bah! And it's like he's incredulous.
Wow.
He's putting it on, right? But it's just hilarious. And now, by the way, like people around us are all hearing this. So now I look like a. It was so funny. And I was like, yeah. And then he just walks away. I didn't even get to shake his hand. Nothing. He just walks away, like just shaking his head, like disgusted that this new kid would come up to him and offer napes on the first hello. Like, how could you do that, man?
That is a great story. That's so good. Oh my gosh.
Every time I saw him after that, though, like I went out of my way. Hey, Michael Hayes, APS, what's up, man? And I just I literally like walk up to him like napes, and then like he would be like, bah, not yet, kid, and you walk away.
Did you ever get the napes before you left?
Like tail end, yes.
Okay, all right.
Like he even did one of those like look arounds, and he went, and then he walked.
All right,
away.
I'll give you one. Okay, that's fantastic. Next one, Lord Alfred Hayes.
Oh yeah, Lord Alfred Hayes.
The Lordship.
I loved how excited he would get during a Hulk up. Like his voice would go up like 5 octaves, you know. He's coming back in the match. Like he'd be really, really excited, like for like a short spurt. He obviously in the Coliseum video, promotional consideration, or he would read the address, right to, and then he'd like have the he'd read the address of where to mail your letters and stuff.
Yeah.
He was it's funny, like even Gorilla Monsoon, like growing up, you didn't realize the careers that they had before they got to WWE in the roles that they were, right? Like Gorilla Monsoon was like the savage wrestler, right? Like, and like people would, if you only watched WWF and you didn't go back and look at his career, like you wouldn't have known that. Even the Bushwhackers, right? Like the sheep herders were like insane, right? Yeah. And then you see them in WWE and you're like, this is like, oh, they're just like lovable guys that are, you know, yay, whoa. And then you learn about the sheep herders and you're like, what is this, right? Yeah. Like, but Gorilla Monsoon, like that. Lord Alfred Hayes had a long career before that too. Like it's just, I guess it's one of those where it's like, whoa, you go down the rabbit hole and you're like, wow, I learned a lot about this.
And I'll give you the next one as a duo: Gorilla Monsoon and Bobby the Brain Heenan.
Yeah, maybe the best duo ever. Bobby Heenan was the absolute best. The 92 Royal Rumble to me is one of the greatest pro wrestling calls ever. I loved it, start to finish. The whole Rumble match, they were just complete lockstep. They were outstanding. I had a chance to meet Bobby Heenan once at a convention. He was very nice to me. This was in the tail end. But I'm glad I did because, both of them together were outstanding. If you considered them the best, a lot of people wouldn't argue, but Bobby Heenan too, just the GOAT.
Awesome. We got two more left. Good old JR, Jim Ross.
He helped me a lot early in my career too. I remember I don't know how I found his email, but I emailed him like very early in my career. And I was thinking I would go to the wrestling school often and just watch the wrestlers train. And I thought, I wonder why this doesn't exist for announcers. Like why isn't there a wrestling announcer school? So on a whim, cold email to JR, I sent him an email and I said, hey, I'm so-and-so and I aspire to be a pro wrestling announcer, etc. Have you ever thought about, taking on students to teach? I would happily pay a tuition to have you, teach me how to be a better wrestling announcer or a wrestling announcer in general. And he wrote back and he said, I won't take your money, but I'll happily, give you advice along the way. So it was very nice of him to do that. He didn't have to. He could have definitely been, as some people know, there are certain types of people in the wrestling industry that would have received an email like that and maybe taken advantage. Sure. But JR certainly did not. And he has been counsel for me for a very long time, certainly in that era. And he always was good with advice for me and, advocated for me behind closed doors, which I appreciated very, very much. So nothing but love in my heart for JR and what he did for me in my career.
And we'll end it with somebody who's probably the longest running commentator, I would say, of all time, Michael Cole.
Yeah, he's the GOAT now. I think that WWE announcers, nobody tops him. He has been through many eras. He has been through many challenges. You could argue that for a long stretch of time, being the play-by-play announcer for WWE was among the most challenging on-air jobs, period. Not just wrestling, but on any show, at any channel, any content creation show, company, anything, broadcast, outfit, anything. That job was very challenging. And Michael Cole, the longevity is there, the quality of work is there. I knew, it just feels like he's having fun now, right? Like he's in this era where he's in his legacy era, he's in his Hall of Fame era, he's having fun. And you could tell that, I remember there was a stretch of time where I would help put together notes for him. I was almost like a stat guy. On the side where I was at WWE and I just give him pages and pages of notes. And I remember there was one show in Japan. They did, I think it was 2015 or something along those lines. And he was essentially left alone during that show. And he was using every stat in that packet. I was like, wow, I feel so proud right now because I'm like, you're using every single stat I put together for you.
Wow.
That's awesome. So, he helped me very much get to WWE. He gave me a lot of advice. He was the one that said, hey, consider doing this with your career in order to get more noticed here. He's the one that put my name forward to help me get my final audition before I got hired by WWE. And this is when he was transitioning to be the ones that took care of that oversaw the announcers back in the day. So, I owe him a lot. He helped me immensely in my career. He was one of the reasons I got to WWE. He's one of the reasons I got as many opportunities, a lot of opportunities. To be noticed by WWE. So he deserves every accolade he gets. He is the greatest WWE announcer of all time. And I think it's really cool that he was, he was a war correspondent before he came to WWE. He was very much a legitimate journalist and broadcaster that transitioned to being the GOAT. So,
sure. Awesome. Arda Ocal, thank you for joining us here on Overtime. It's been awesome. Some great stories there. And best of luck. We'll see you soon.
Thank you.